later to be known as Billie Holiday. She was born in Baltimore, Maryland on April 7, 1915. Billie Holiday was an American jazz musician and singer-songwriter, with a career spanning nearly 30 years. With her mother having her at the age of 13 and her father at the age of 15, she grew up in a life of poverty. Also, her father, Clarence Holiday, who had later became a famous jazz guitarist, never lived at home because he chose his music career over his family. Because of this, Billie Holiday had to grow up at a young age with no father at home to show her support, so her mother had to. Therefore, Holiday had to get a job at a very young age and to be the one to support their family instead of her father. Because her father was not around, and it was just her mother, she had no adult supervision at all times, meaning she did not have someone to watch over her to tell her what is right or wrong.
Billie Holiday had to make a living by herself. In doing so, she one day found herself listening to music while working. She really enjoyed it and wanted to make some herself. The song she was listening to was sung by Louis Armstrong, later to be known as one of Billie's greatest influences. Billie Holiday's voice was very unique to her, and still to this day inspires many, many artists. The way she would sing would draw people in and make it feel like she was singing to them personally. On a radio station by Phil Schwab, he says, "She speaks to your heart, she catches your ear, she reaches your mind, and she does this with an emotional power that, of course, is genius beyond words." In the song Strange Fruit, she does just that. And here's the video.
Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rock, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
Holiday grew up in a time of racial injustice. Her song showed just that. After hearing it, you could really feel the difference she would make with all of her music.
Eleanor Fagan spent most of her life battling abuse, addiction, and racial prejudice before an untimely death at age 44. Her father, a jazz musician, abandoned the family when she was a young girl, and she was often left in the care of abusive relatives while her mother was working. At age 10, she was raped and sent to a reformatory for allegedly seducing her attacker. Shortly after her release, she turned to prostitution and was arrested when she was just a teen. During this time, she became acquainted with jazz, listening to it on the brothel's phonograph. In the early 1930s, she began singing in Harlem nightclubs. She adopted the stage name Billie Holiday, a combination of Billy Dove, a popular film star from the 1920s, and her father's surname. Before long, she was performing with some of the biggest names in jazz. Saxophonist Lester Young nicknamed her Lady Day for her sophistication and grace in song. Though she had no formal training and her voice was rough and limited in range, it was poignant, expressive, and displayed a unique phrasing.
Billie Holiday is somebody that is important to the world of music because she synthesized the styles of almost everybody who comes before her. And then there's almost nobody on the planet who wants to be a singer after her example has been broadcast who isn't watching Billie Holiday's style for cues as to what to do.
In a largely segregated time, chart-topping hits were reserved for white performers. Billie's first recordings were little more than second-rate songs intended specifically for black artists. She turned them into masterpieces, considered by many to be some of her finest. After her 1937 tour with Count Basie, she joined Artie Shaw's group, becoming one of the first black performers to be featured in an all-white band. Fed up with the discrimination she constantly encountered while touring, Billie returned to New York. She set up her base of operations at the Cafe Society, an interracial club. She began performing her landmark hit, Strange Fruit, a haunting song about Southern lynchings.
She's also significant to the world of music because of songs like Strange Fruit. Strange Fruit in particular, as a singer who dared to take all of those gifts that she had, all that musicality and subtlety and understatement, and say, did you know that I was mad as hell about the lynching of my people in this country?
Already abusing alcohol and marijuana, it didn't take long for Billie to move on to stronger drugs like opium and heroin. Several relationships with abusive lovers made matters worse. They enabled her drug use and spent her money. Her problems culminated in 1947 when she was arrested for drug possession and jailed for 8 months, and her cabaret license was revoked. Unable to perform in bars or nightclubs, Billie returned to the recording studio, her voice growing weaker under continued stress. Plagued by drug dependency, Billie's condition deteriorated, and she faced more run-ins with the law.
She kind of epitomizes a kind of very romantic view of an artist. I mean, an artist fighting destructive urges, fighting, her own inner demons to create art.
In the mid-1950s, she toured Europe and penned her autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues. Penniless and unable to shake her addiction even on her deathbed, Billie Holiday succumbed to heart and liver failure on July 17, 1959.